Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Hope all our members are safe and healthy. Yes, I would like to deliberate some important changes what has been, effective from 1st January, and also I'll brief you the relevant provisions against the changes. I'll also highlight some of the case laws which is very important for our, daily that in litigations are happening. So let me start. So the first amendment is related to the anti-profiting authority. The duration has been changed from 4 years to 5 years. So I'll brief in the next slide about the anti-profiting measures and what are the processes for that section 171. So see, anti-profiteering under GST, it's a major provision where the department or authority can notice to the taxpayer or the supplier in case of any benefit of reduction of tax on supply or any benefit in reduction of a ITC. So that should be commensurate the reduction in prices. Otherwise, the taxpayer has to, they have to deposit a huge penalty, and also it leads to cancellation of the registration. So I would not go each and every wording of the provision. Yes, I would like to highlight. So the penalty will be, maximum 10% of the amount profited. And if that has been deposited within 30 days of passing of the order, then it can be waived off. But how it works out, I'll give you the structure of the anti-profiteering provisions. So the structure is DG is the higher authority, and then it comes additional DG, then ADC, and deputy or assistant commissioner. Then it goes to the inspector and the tax officer levels. So how the rule 128 and 129 applies for the anti-profiteering provisions. So I'd like to highlight here, because nowadays authorities are sending notices to many taxpayers because the rates are changing day by day. So it is important for all of us to know the provision and how we can safeguard against the notices. So the rule 128 says the interested parties will send notices, and once the notice come, the authority will examine the applicant or the applications received from interested parties. So here I like to highlight the interested parties. Those can send notices. They may be the supplier, they may be recipients, or any other persons. So if we can, send a complaint letter to the anti-profiteering authority, though as per the provision of rule 128, they can start examining the complaint. Then the investigation process will start. What is the description of goods and services where the proceedings should be initiated, and the summary of facts, and the time limit that has been allowed to the interested parties to provide the reply against in case of any queries raised. So the provision, the investigations report should be completed within 6 months of receipt of reference from the standing committees. So why? Because in GST, the time frame is always, that has been outlined, and everyone has to respond within that timelines. So the next process is once the investigation reports received, then the order comes from the the DG, and the order should be within 6 months of receipt of report from DG. Then the order should be that may include the reduction of process, because we know the prices includes in case of any commensurate reduction of ITC or any commensurate to the reduction of rates, the order that includes also that will imply for the recipient to pay the equivalent amount not passed by commensurate reduction in prices along with 18%. That may also force to the taxpayer or the supplier or any interested parties to pay 50% till deposit of such amount in consumer welfare fund. So if there is no eligible person is available, then it can be deposited the remaining 50%. Then the penalty that we discussed in the previous slide. and also it leads to the cancellation of registration. So these are the anti-profiteering provisions. So I would like to highlight. So once we receive any notices, on behalf of our client regarding the anti-profiteering provision, we have to ensure that the details of the products or any suppliers, that the date from which the prices has been reduced, and in case of any ITC that has not been, the benefit has not been passed to our customers or our suppliers, that should be completely, we have to prepare the details, and that fact should be submitted before the authorities. Otherwise, it may lead to cancellation of our registration, and the penalty will be higher in this case. So the authority, the duration has been changed to 4 to 5 years. The duration is changed to 4 to 5 years. It means department is strengthening the anti-profiteering provisions. So every day, the rate of taxes in textiles, footwear industries, and in other industries, the rates are changing. So it is very much important for all of us to vigilant against this. Then the next amendment is related to DRC 03. So DRC 03 is not it is a form where we have to deposit the tax voluntarily or against any notices. So that in DRC 03, there is one, column has been inserted where the DRC 01 part is included. That shows the detail of tax, interest, and penalty that ascertained by the officer during the course of audit, inspection, or investigation. So in the next slide, I'll give you the highlight and the structure of DRC forms. So what is DRC 01? It is one type of show cause notice the officer will issue against, section 52 in case of any collection of tax at source. 73, this is related to tax not paid, short paid, or in case of ITC wrongly availed or any refund related. And 74, we all know in willful statements or any fraud cases. And 76, that tax collected but not paid. 120 to 127, this is related to penalty. And 129 to 30 is related to goods in case of detention, seizure, confiscation. So these are the related the cases where the officer will issue DRC 01. So in DRC 01, the part include DRC 01A that we have discussed in the earlier slide. So then once we receive these show cause notice, we have to, there are two options. Either we have to pay voluntarily before issuance of show cause notice, then we can pay DRC 03 mentioning that voluntarily paying. Otherwise, we have to pay if it is under section 74, we have to pay within 7 days and within 7 days under section 129 or within 30 days under section 74. So once we pay this DRC, these are all online process. So there is, we have to only be careful about, inserting the description for which we are paying the taxes. And then acknowledgement comes in DRC 04 in case of we are paying through voluntarily. Otherwise, in case of any, 74 or 129, that is penalty cases, it will be common with DRC 05. Then if we need any representation and reply of notices, it will be format DRC 06. And once all these things are settled, then officer will issue settlement order or through assessment 13. So here there is one important point we all have to understood. If we have filed the return within 30 days of issuance of the DRC 07 or assessment 13, the demand or liability that has been raised by the officer will be waived off. So this is very important provision. So I'll request all the tax professionals, they should not be worried about the summary order, whatever the demand or penalty that has been levied by the officers. If I file the returns and we have to self-assess our liability within 30 days, then the rectification order or withdrawal order will start through DRC 08. So on the next slide, I would like to highlight the provision of Rule 10B. So Rule 10B is nothing but it is an authentication process that has to be done through our Aadhaar authentication. So we know through all the processes through IC, whether IC amendment, whether any amendment through the GST portal, Aadhaar is nowadays mandatory. So In case of proprietor, we have to put Aadhaar number of that proprietor, or in case of any partnership firm, partner Aadhaar number is required. In case of joint the Hindu undivided family, then Karta. And in case of a company, then managing director or whole-time director Aadhaar number is required. And in case of any association person, then members of managing committee. And in case of any board of trustees, then any trustee, the Aadhaar number is required. So this is rule 10B. Then this Aadhaar authentication is applicable for filing of revocation application, against cancellation of a registration or refund applications. And also this Aadhaar is required for filing of any refund, rule 96 related to export of goods against a payment of IGST. So in case we don't have Aadhaar number, then I have highlighted what is required. We have to put the copy of Aadhaar enrollment form or bank passbook, then passports. So these are required. So Aadhaar authentication is mandatory for filing of refund applications. So I have discussed about this Aadhaar authentication. So these are the detailed provisions. I would not like to highlight here. I would like to hear one point. So here their rule 96(1), the clause has been inserted that I deliberated in the earlier side, because in case of we are going for IGST refund, this Aadhaar authentication is mandatory. So then there is one amendment in case of it's very important amendment in case of the services between the members and between the in case of a club or membership transactions. So earlier it is treated as a schedule 2, but now it has been inserted in section 7 subsection 1 under supply. So what it says the person and its member that will be treated as two separate persons, and the supply of activities or transaction will be taxable. So we all know in case of a Kolkata High Court judgment and in Honorable Supreme Court judgment also in State West Bengal versus Kolkata Club, where the doctrine of mutuality applies, and it says there should be no taxable between a transaction between a club and its members. Now that has been override, and the doctrine of mutuality is nowhere applicable. They have added in the act. So now the litigation may, our apex court may decide against the earlier judgment and the current enactment in the law. So here I would like to highlight, so we have to, it is applicable retrospectively from July 2017. So all the club members and the members of associations, in case of any activities between two persons, that will be taxable. So if our, we are getting any services from our association of persons, or we all are living in apartment societies, so that will be also taxable. So it is a major, implications. So we have to analyze, and we have to think about the future litigation will start on this basis. So I have just highlighted what is doctrine of mutuality. It means as per the apex court, the persons carrying on a certain activity in such a way there is commonality between the contributors, funds, and the participation in the activities. The motive is common. So the doctrine of mutuality applies where the motive is common.
Ashwiniji, if some people have any queries, do you want them to be dealt side by side or at the end?
No, it's okay. I can take side by side. So if you can, raise during my, I'll discuss. Otherwise, I'll take on the post.
Then I would like to raise a query on this doctrine of mutuality.
Yes.
Coming with retrospective effect.
Yes.
There are many associations or societies who have not been registered for GST till date.
Right, sir.
So what is the suggestion? Do they do it, and with retrospective effect, it will be heavy taxes and heavy penalties?
Sir, as per my view, they should not, do any registration until unless the limit of, the 7,500 that has been enacted in earlier provisions. But yes, it is not required to pay any liability until unless in case of any, we have to litigate in contest in the, in the next stage, because it will be very difficult. We have to calculate the taxable value, how much we have received and from when, and what is the impact of taxability. So it is a long complex of Pandora box. So I would not suggest to take registration and pay voluntarily taxes, sir.
No, supposing the limit of 20 lakhs is being crossed,
Yes.
then what should be
Then
done?
so the limit of 20 lakhs is once crossed, then, and in case of a, they have the payment is also, the membership contribution also exceeds the threshold limit. Yes, they have to take registration, but paying taxes retrospectively, that's not my view. They should pay prospectively, sir.
Prospectively. Thank
Right,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Ashmik.
Sir.
This was in regard to like a cooperative society or a resident welfare association.
Right, sir.
And I'm just trying to understand, I missed it, that there are two thresholds which you mentioned. One was to the extent that there has to be some total receipts and individual.
Yes, sir. There are two. One is complete income of that association, right? If it is exceeds 20 lakhs, and another is the individual contributions. So if it is the limit is 7,500, then
Per annum? Per annum?
No, sir. Per month, sir.
Per month. Okay.
Right.
Sir, for RWA, it is 7,500 per month.
Yes,
but,
sir.
But only for housing societies, not for other things.
Yes.
What about the clubs?
Sir, there is no exemption limit.
In clubs, sir, you can take it as a, sir, 20 lakhs is a criteria threshold limit, sir. What I would suggest, because there is no clarity on the GST law, but yes, by interpreting the laws, 20 lakhs should be the threshold limit, sir.
So one is the clubs, and RWA, I'm repeating again what my understanding is, that it's 20 lakhs plus 7,500 per month.
Yes, sir.
Per member.
Per member,
sir. Per member.
So those people who are below 7,500, you need not charge them. The people from whom you are charging maintenance beyond 7,500, you are supposed to charge them.
And another thing I would like to highlight here, sir, if you have taken registration and if you think you have to exclude the GST part, it is not possible. You have to charge, sir, because you have already registered under GST.
No, I'm sorry. You need to explain this again.
So I'm saying the threshold limit is 7,500 per month. So suppose you are registered earlier because you have many credits are available, and then you think you don't have to charge GST to our members. So that's not possible, sir.
But you will charge only for people who are beyond 7,500. Supposing there are 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. For 2 bedrooms, you are charging 7,000 per month. And for 3 bedrooms, you are charging 8,000 per month. So GST will be charged only from 8,000 per month people, not from the 7,000 people.
And there will be one issue, sir, because the customers are all B2C. So it is very difficult to bifurcate there, how much you are charging GST or how much you are the customers from whom you are not charging. So you have to keep separate record, and in case of any, department ask, then you have to provide them the details of justifications.
And even input will be proportionate?
Of course, sir. Because in some cases, if it is exempted, you have to then reverse the inputs. The rule 42 or 43 will apply, sir.
Right, sir. Balla sahab, I think it is clear.
No, I think I'm really confused here. Confused to the extent that you said the registration is, suppose a RWA has taken a registration earlier, and so it may have some slight income or whatever, but for the members' charges, which are probably not even more than 7,500 per annum, much less.
No, per month, sir, per month.
No. I'm taking this clue from what was mentioned, that if the registration is there, then what is the, if I have a GST number, but I am not 20 lakhs and I'm not 7,500, then?
Sir, then you will not be charging.
Ashwini ji.
As per my understanding, sir, it is slightly different, sir. Because what happened, in recent cases, one of my friend, they called, department officers are saying, yes, your some plots is below 7,500 and some plots are, it exceeds the threshold limit. But as it is a whole, your main purpose is, you are providing services to the members and you have taken registration, then GST, you have to pay GST because it is all B2C suppliers. So, so my contention is different in this case, because although it is a litigative stage, I really agree with you, sir. In upper stage, we can get relief, but in this stage, they will compel us to pay whole, irrespective of, partly for below 7,500 and partly exceeds 7,500. So,
Ashwini, Bhala Saab's point was that taking a case where the contribution from every member is below 7,500, there is no case where the society is charging more than 7,500. The registration is already in place, but because the threshold is not breached, his understanding is that GST should not be chargeable.
if all the members are below 7,500,
Yes. If all the members are below and 20 lakhs also below.
so, then there is no required to be paid.
Correct.
Okay.
That's clear.
Balla साहब, एक चीज मैं बोलूंगा यहाँ पे, once you have taken the registration, the 20 lakhs is out. Then it has no relevance.
चलो ठीक है, वो तो 7.5
जो 7.5 से नीचे हैं उनको छोड़ सकते हो, 7.5 से ऊपर का एक भी नहीं छोड़ पाओगे.
No, the problem in the society is कि वो 6,000 per annum भी नहीं देते हैं. Anyway,
registration surrender करवा दो.
Thank you.
Right.
I'm stuck in a situation, so that's why I'm asking.
No, that's great, sir, because everyone is paying
it's not a business, it's a personal place where I'm stuck. So I just want to be sure.
I would respect your views, sir, and everyone is paying GST and maintenance charges. So that's a huge amount, sir.
Yes.
So then on the Schedule 2, earlier it was inserted, now omitted because it has been part of the Act. So another important provision I would like to highlight, it will impact, most of our clients. It is inserted in section 16.2. It is related to ITC. So here it says, one, you will take ITC credit once your supplier has uploaded the returns. It means earlier there 16.2, there are only 4 provisions. There is no such provisions are there that the other side of the party has to upload the return. So the concept of GSTR 2B comes into picture. So once it reflects in GSTR 2B, then we are eligible to get credit. So earlier there is provision of 36.4. I'll discuss in later stage, which says we have to take credit on provisional basis. Initially, it was started in October of 20%, then reduced to 10%, and before January it was 5%. Now the whole 36.4 has been amended. So I would like to highlight, everyone knows the definition of ITC, but the ITC is related to, we can take credit in course of or furtherance of the business. That I would like to highlight here. Otherwise, everyone knows the definition of input services, input tax credit, and capital goods.
Ashwini, one question.
Yes, sir.
Sir, आज की डेट में is 2A relevant?
आज की डेट में there is no relevance of 2A because in portal 2A has been abolished.
ठीक है sir, thank you.
So I would like to highlight here the amended 16.2 provisions. So what it says, because it is the Bible of ITC, we'll have to keep in mind while taking input tax credit. One, it is the old provision. We should have tax invoice or debit note or credit note against which we are taking ITC. Point number 2, that has been added in 16 to AA, that I have discussed in the earlier slide, the details of invoice or debit note that has been furnished by the supplier in his GSTR 1, then we are eligible to take credit. So 37 is related to outward suppliers. So and the next condition, the assessee has received goods or services or both, and on the fourth condition, that has been tax has been paid whether through ITC or through cash, and the return has been filed under section 39, which is, we can say it is GSTR 3B. So the important points for ITC eligibility in case of a lot or installment, we all knows when we receive the last lot or installment, we can take a credit ITC. Although this law, I'm not okay with this law, because during the financial year, and if it is exceeds and if it crosses to the next financial year, it means an earlier financial year I have received the invoices, but I have not received the complete consignment, then I can't take the credit. Though, so there may be difference of ITC available in my books and ITC available in my return. So another point, we all knows that the rule, we have the payment should be made 180 days. So this is against the rule 39, and I can say we will not pay the payment within 180 days. That should be added our output tax liability along with interest. So this is also, I would suggest to the budget, they have to take care of these important points, because nowadays during pandemic, this payment schedule may be impacted. And I like to highlight here, in case of a milestone basis contract or any contract which says the payment has to be made after 1 year or beyond 180 days, so that case to be litigated, because the contract is clearly says payment is not linked with 180 days. So the taxpayer has to consider that provision. Next, if we have claimed any depreciation on the capital goods, then we don't have to take the ITC. Either we have to take ITC not to claim, or if we have claimed depreciation, ITC is not available. Then we all know the GST return for the previous year and the ITC has to be claimed maximum of the September 20th October of next year, because it is related to September return. So I have seen many representation has been filed before the budget committees to extend it to November. So another, so ITC against the invoices more than 1 year, it will not be available to take credit. So I have highlighted in the where the goods are imported and the factory is receiving in lot. So that is also during the transit, the ITC claim is also not available because you have not received the lot. So in this slide, in case of any, we can discuss, yes, it is okay, otherwise I'll proceed. So I would like to highlight here what are the provisions of 36(4). Earlier it was provisional starting from 20%, and it before January it was 5%. Now it has been amended. It says no input tax credit available until unless the supplier has furnished the return in GSTR 1 or through the IFF facility, right? And second conditions that has been reported in GSTR 2B. So the 36(4) has been amended like this. So these are the provisions I would like to highlight that are in the law, but still it is not enacted, or it has some clauses that is still we have to think about it. The section 41(1) says that we have to take credit of ITC through our self-assessment basis and on provisional basis. So if the 36(4) has been amended, this section should be amended. And 49(2) also says that the ITC credit self-assessed should be credited in electronic credit ledger as per section 41 and 43A. So 43A is related to the old provision which says that it will pass from GSTR 1 to GSTR 2. If it is verified, it will come GSTR 2. They have to validate or modify on the other side of the customer whether it is correct or not. Then it will be treated as GSTR 3. But these all are inserted in the Amendment Act, but not yet notified. So I would not like highlight here, because the most important provision in 43A6 says both the supplier and recipient shall be jointly or severely liable to pay tax in case of any description in ITC. So any discrepancy in ITC, both supplier and recipient are jointly liable. So although the note it is not notified, but it will be notified soon. So we'll have to take care about this provision. And similarly, the self-assessment and matching provisions has been in section 59 and rule 69. These all are related to GSTR 2 and 2A, but these are required to be amended. So I would like to highlight here about 2B, because nowadays 2B is taking a very important role, because earlier it was 2A, then it comes 2A versus 2B. Now I'd like to highlight 2B is nothing but if it is filed before the due date, the supplier has filed the return before the due date through GSTR 1 or through IFF mode, it will reflect in our 2B report. Right. So the supplier may be non-resident tax person if they file return through GSTR 5, or input service provider, if they file return under GSTR 6, so that will reflect on GSTR 1, this GSTR 2B. So on the right side, I have mentioned the 2B includes the return summary on the basis of 1, GSTR 5, GSTR 6, IFF, in case of a QRMP supplier, or any ITC on import of goods. So GSTR 2B is a static document. It will not change like a dynamic in case of a 2A. So the cutoff date for 2B, we all know is in some state it may 12th of every month, but generally it is 11th of every month. And for GSTR 5 or ISD 6, and for QRMP scheme, it may be 13th or any quarterly basis. So what will not reflect in 2B will have to take in consideration while filing our GSTR 3B. One is ITC on import of goods in case of a transmission issues. So it means if our scroll is not generated through the IC gate, or in case of any mismatch of GST number, it will not reflect our 2B. Although we have complete, the bill of entry and all the import document, but still it will not reflect in 2B. But I would suggest to take credit against this, although we have to contest it, because you are a valid recipient of the services, although there is some technical glitches for which it is not reflecting. Another which is not reflect ITC on import of services, or ITC in case of any reverse charge, that will not reflect. And third point, it will not reflect where the state of supplier and place of supply is the same state and the recipient is other state. It means suppose we have visited in Mumbai and a registration in Delhi, and we have stayed in a hotel, and the hotel will, the place of supply will be immovable property, location of the immovable property. So in that case, and the supplier is in Mumbai, Maharashtra. So in that case, it will not reflect in 2B of my Delhi state. And otherwise, if I have two registration in Delhi and Haryana, and one of my supplier, they have incorrectly shown in registration of Haryana in place of Delhi, it will not reflect in other state GST. And in case of any satisfactory condition of 16.4, which is related to claiming of ITC beyond 30th September, it will also not reflect in available table. It means in 2B there are two tables, ITC available and ITC not available, and other tables are related to credit notes. So these are highlights I would like to give on what 2B shows. because we'll have to take, figures very correctly as per 2B, and some cases we have to take our self-assessment basis on the basis of bill of entry or any other documents. So the 2B screenshot I have mentioned here, it will shows ITC available towards supplies from registered person and ITC inward supplies from ISD. In case of that, reversal is related to import of goods, and ITC reversal in case of any reversal, it will shows under ITC reversal. Another table says ITC not available. So these are the I can say it will, we have to take credit on the basis of 2B, but yes, if you have justified and documents are available, we can take self-assessment ITC as per my view. So here I'd like to highlight some of the important notifications, although it is not mandatory, but yes, GSTN has, they have to highlight their own notifications through their portal. So here it says for beyond September, the ITC is not reflected in 2B, and similarly, it will reflect in ITC not available, and it will also not reflect in GSTR 2A in table 8A. And another, the advisory of taxpayer in 2B is completely, they have tutorials are available. So if any participants would like to go through these tutorials, they have to use the manuals, how to read the 2B commands. So another implementations they have notified in 3rd January recently, Rule 59.6. It is very important amendment. So it means if we have not filed GSTR 3B of the preceding month, then we can't file GSTR 1 of the next month. Until unless the GSTR 3B has not paid with late fees or interest, then it will block our GSTR 1 of next month. This is only the Rule 59.6. So it is very important for all of us to take the note of Rule 59.6. So I have given one example for all of you, what is 2B and how the credit is available. Suppose the return filing period is Jan 22. The assumption is that GSTR filing due date is 11th and it has not been submitted through IFF. IFF means those are the QRMP scheme, quarterly return monthly payment scheme. So they have to only upload the outward supplies through this IFF, but they have to file return in quarterly. So in this case, the Jan return filing period is Jan 22 and the invoice basic value 100 and the GST is 18. Yes, of course, they have filed the returns in due date, so it will reflect in 2B and the eligibility is 18 rupees proportionate to that basic value. In FAVE, they have filed delayed returns. So the basic value, if is 50 and the GST is 18%, then it will not reflect in 2B and we are not eligible to take credit. But in March, yes, they are filed in the due date. So again, if any ITC is not reflected in the previous month, it will be included in next month's. So in March, we have to take credit of this March month as well as the previous month. So it comes 14 because in Feb, the ITC was 9 and in March is 5 rupees, then we are eligible to take full credit. In April, then the supplier has changed to QRMP scheme. So again, in case of a QRMP scheme and they have not submitted through IFF, then again the ITC will not reflect. And in May, they have issued the credit note. Again, the credit note will also not show. And in June, they have filed the quarterly return, then whole adjustment of credit notes and the QRMP scheme that has not been reflected in 2B, it will be reflected in GSTR 2B of June month. So it will come 50 rupees because it will add the ITC of April and reduce the credit note ITC and add the ITC of June month. So I would like to give just an example picture so all the participants are eligible, are able to know what is the picture of GSTR 2B and how our ITC is reflected. So I hope everyone is clear in this slide. In case of any doubt, we can discuss. Sir, we can proceed. I hope. Yes.
Yes, Ashwini ji, please proceed.
Yes, yes. So here I have given some of the screenshot of notices received, so I have, removed the name of our clients, but yes, the notices has been received through ASMT 10. ASMT 10 is related to, section 61 in case of any scrutiny of returns. So we'll receive this kind of notices where it says your ITCs. You can see how the analytical table shows your GSTR 3B ITC is 0 lakhs, but 2A, because at that time 2A is there. So 2A is 4 lakhs. So give us the clarity why you have not taken credit. So I don't think so. The department, they have to, keep in mind, because they are fully dependent on the machinery, right? So and the next type of notices, if the 2A is less amount and the 3B is exceeds the amount, give us the clarifications we have why you have taken the credits. So similar notices we can receive in 2B also, because January month it is implemented, so we can expect the getting notices on 2B mismatch in next month or next quarter. So another major amendment is related to section 7512. So it is similar to the earlier slide. What it says, whatever we have self-assessed tax declared in our GSTR 1, it will be treated as our, we have declared our liability and it is treated as final. So irrespective of what liability you have to show in GSTR 3B. So it means the recovery proceedings can be started on the basis of outward tax liabilities disclosed in GSTR 1. So we have to very cautious what we have to report in GSTR 1. It should match with GSTR 3B and it should be matched with our books of accounts. So before I'll go on the next changes, but I would like to highlight all the participants, what are the main provisions before litigations. We all should know, otherwise it is very difficult for us to respond to the department. Although there is no changes on the sections, but I thought I should deliberate on these sections. It may be relevant to some of the participants. So what section 59 says, that we should self-assess our tax payable and furnish our return accordingly. Okay, so the assessment of taxes burden lies on us, not the department. Point number one. So if we have received any notices, the department has assessed any liability, so we have to defend along with the proper justification in section 59. Although there may be some interpretation issues, that should be kept in aside. Section 75(7), it shows whatever amount of interest tax penalty has been disclosed in the notices, that should not exceed, or that should not be mismatch whatever shown in the demand order. So sometimes we all know in notices, they just mentioned due to non-filing or mismatch, your liability comes 1 lakh rupees. And again, they are demanded in the demand order, it comes 5 lakhs. So that should not be happened, because section 75(7) protects us against the same. And section 162, 160 subsection 2 says, it is very important provisions, whatever notices we received, we have to question before the department. And if we have not questioned, then department will take it as there is nothing to be acted upon, and there is no question has been raised, and they have to finalize. So the law says the service of any notice, order, or communication shall not be called in question if the notice, order, or communication, as the case may be, has already been acted upon. And where such services has not been called in question in earlier proceedings, that continues for finalized pursuant to such notice or order of communication. It means in case of we have received any notices, we have to give as much as our replies and question before the department on the facts of the law, or on the basis how this demand or notices are raised. Section 155, it says the burden of the proving that we have claimed the ITC lies on such person who claims the ITC. So this is not the, the favorable section for the recipient who is claiming the ITC, right? Because there may be some issues from the part of the supplier where they may have issued fake invoices, or they may have any compliance issues, but still the burden of proof lies on us. So I would expect in this budget the section 155 should be amended. And the time limit, we have to understood the time limit for which we should receive the SCN on demand order. So time limit on the section 74 is related to fraud cases. So the time limit is 5 years from the date of filing of annual return. We all know the CA fraternity and the professionals are raising, request before the authority, GST authority, to extend the due date. So that is a very repercussions and a very negative, because the due date start, the SCN start from the due date of filing annual return. For example, 1718, the due date was 7th Feb 2020, because it is extended from number of months. So now that date will be calculated. So that the SCN should be issued before 6 months of the due date, and the order should be issued within five years of the due date. So we can expect that we can receive the SCN, because nowadays authorities department are sending all the SCNs assuming the assessee is doing fraud. So section 74 will receive most of the SOCUS notices. So the due date will be 7th August 2024, and for order date it will be 6th Feb 2025. Similarly, for other years I have not mentioned, it will be beyond of these years. Section 73, it is 3 years from the date of annual return, right? So another important point is that we have to ensure whatever notices we are receiving, it should be verified and DIN number is mentioned. Suppose DIN number is not mentioned, so we should write a reply letter to the authority to specify the DIN number, and we can verify it through CBIC website. Another provision is related to pre-consultation. This is also very important provision. If pre-consultation is not happening, then the demand and the SOCUS notices is invalid. So the pre-consultation provision is mentioned in section 73.5 and also in section 74.5. So another important provision, see, these are no, once again I'm deliberating, there is, the law is same, there is no changes on these sections, but yes, I like to deliberate because this is the time, but the department is sending numerous notices. So you have to take care of the provision. We should know what is the provision says. So section 169 says, what are the modes we can receive the notices? One mode is they have handed over the notices to our manager, or advocate or tax practitioner. Another mode is they have handed over the notices to our business place and authorized representative or business place or residence. Third one is they may hand over the notices by sending the notices to our email address. Another who says it may available on the common portal. It means we have to verify our common portal every day. We don't know when the notices are uploaded because we will not get any notifications. So another is they can publish in the newspaper. And if all these conditions they have not satisfied, or they have not sent notices in the above modes, they can copy on the notice board of the office. It means we have to visit the offices of the commissioners or the GST authorities in regular intervals. So this is, I would like to highlight here. It means that all the provisions are here says the any one of the method. So anyone the method comes publication in a newspaper. So I don't know how the assessee will verify his name in a newspaper also. Copy in the notice board of the offices of the concerned officers. So we expect some of these mode of the receipt of notices may be minimized and reasonable. What is the best for the assessee also. So that's why I have highlighted here. So now comes to other changing of provisions in section 74. So it says earlier, it says in if any proceedings has been concluded in section 73 and 74, then all the persons involved in the notices will be closed, right? And under section 122, 130. Now it says the proceedings will closed only sections 122 and 125. It means 129 and 30, which is related to confiscation of goods or related to any contravention of seizure, detention. That name should be that will not be that proceedings will not be concluded that the person's name has been waived off. So there are many instances where although your main notices has been closed, your order has been passed, but still you are liable to be responsible, or you are liable to pay a penalty under section 129 and 130. So I have just highlighted what is 122. It is related to penalty for certain offenses, that the penalty will be maximum 10,000, and 125 general payment penalty, it says maximum 25,000. Then what is 129 and 30? We all should know. So 129 is related to in case of any detention, seizure, and release of goods or during this transit, right? And 130 is confiscation of the goods or conveyances and levy of penalty on this. So another important provision is related to section 83. So it is related to attachment. So it is very, the provision, the changes will impact the assessee. How? Earlier it was said, in case of a pendency of the proceedings, it means the proceedings have been started and still it is not closed, then the department, to protect the interest of the government revenue, they can attach the property of the assessee, including bank accounts. So now it has been amended. If initiation of proceedings, it means if they just sent a letter that your proceedings has been started, then your whole bank account, your property will be attached. So this provision should be, further amended, or it maybe the apex court takes certain steps, because this is very stringent provision. And also I would like to highlight, the attachment also includes any person. So how it will impact? We all know section 2 subsection 85 says the place of business will also include where books of accounts are maintained. So it means if the books of accounts are maintained from places of professionals like lawyers or CS or any other professionals, that will be treated as a place of business. So if that in case, so it says this provision may apply if that person involved any supply of goods or services without issue of invoices, or issues any invoices without supply of goods, or take ITC contravention the provision of section 62, then utilizes ITC as per the provisions we have discussed earlier. So in all these cases, the attachment, they can attach the property. So another provision, they have increased the penalty in case of a section 129. So 129 we have discussed. So they have increased 10% to 25%, but normal cases the pre-deposit is 10%. So I'm just like to highlight that the 25% of the penalty, how it calculates. So the 20 right now under section 129(1), it says penalty will be 200% on the tax of the taxable goods, 200% of tax on taxable goods. Earlier it was 100%. And in case of exempted goods, it is 2% or 25,000, whichever is less, where the owner of the goods comes forward for payment of such penalty. Otherwise, if the owner is not comes forward for payment of such penalty, then the tax will be 50% of the value of the goods or 200% of the tax, whichever is higher. Or in case of exempted, it will be 5% of the value of goods or 25,000, whichever is less. So these are the amended provisions. So section 129 I have highlighted here, and another, they have said they have to, in case of a detaining or seizing of goods, they have to issue a notice within 7 days of such detention. This is the new provision they have added. Then another important provision, and it is also favorable. So earlier there is no such opportunity or being heard is there. Now they are saying no penalty shall be determined without giving the person concerned an opportunity of being natural justice. So another provision they have added. Earlier there is no such clause for sale of goods or disposed of goods. Now they can sell or dispose the goods as prescribed in the amended section. So here there is no such impact. And section 130 that we have discussed in this.
Ashwini ji, there is a query on the chat box by Mr.
Please.
I'm just reading out the query. Mr. Goel is asking, on initiative proceeding, when the amount of tax evaded is not there, then the attachment for what amount will happen?
So repeat the question, please.
On initiation of proceedings, the amount of when the amount of tax evaded is not there, then the attachment will happen for what amount?
So that will depend upon the which provision they have, put the notices. If it is related to 129 or 130, the penalty provision also according to the provision of 129 or 130, 200% tax, or in case of exempted goods. So that is depending upon under which section the attachment is happening.
Thank you. And Mr. Goel, if there is a follow-up question, please feel free to unmute and ask. I guess you can.
Yeah. So another important provision is section 151. So section 151, there is very important provision. It is power to call for information. Earlier, it was required to issue a notification for.
ये जो निकाल रहे जगह सिंह बाहर भेज रहे हो फाइलें, ये क्या करना है?
So I'm saying earlier it was the commissioner is not required to issue. The commissioner is required to issue notification, but now it has been changed. The commissioner is not required to issue any notification in case of a power to call information. So any information the commissioner is required in case of any proceedings, they have such powers. Because I'm just highlighting which is the important for all of us, otherwise it will be a long chapter. So bar on disclosure of the information. So here that they have been without giving an opportunity, they have no information they can collect from the assessee. And another very important provision is related to ECO. So we all know from 1st January, it is impact the provision where the ECO is delivering food or any restaurant service products to the customers. Then ECO has to take GST registration and they have to discharge liability on behalf of the restaurant. Yes, if the restaurant or the hotel has tariff of above 7,000, so this provision is not applied. So here there are major compliance burden is on part of ECO. So these are the clarifications they have mentioned, whether ECO has to take registration, yes, ECO has to take registration, and then the aggregate turnover also include the restaurant services that has been supplied by the ECO. And another, it is saying ECO is eligible to take ITC credit. No, ECO is not eligible to take ITC credit. They have to reverse the ITC credit if they have taken under section 9 subsection 5, and they have to pay all the taxes through cash. So another, whether 5% without ITC, ECO has to charge other than the restaurant services. No, this is only applicable for the restaurant services. So restaurant services has been defined, and the restaurant has to, they have to also report in their GSTR 1 supplied through ECO, and ECOs also have to report in GSTR 1 and 3B. And again, the important changes is related to tax.
You can just pause for a moment, and we can just ask if there is any question up till now on this new circular regarding.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So if any participant has any question, please you can raise it now.
Ashwini, hello.
Yes, sir.
Ashwini, I have a question regarding the section 83 provisional attachment.
Right.
So can you elaborate, because it has included of attachment of any persons?
Yes.
Can you please brief on that? What will include any other person, so that the participant will get an idea what person who will be included in that this provisional attachment?
Goyalji, I have just highlighted any persons means those are outside the preview of recipient or suppliers, right? And the any person includes if it is related to the place of business also. So I'm saying if I am involved with the conspiracy of issuing of the fake invoices where the supplier and receiver has take the benefit, then I may be part of the any person. So it is up to the judicial authority or the department has to prove, yes, I am part of the interested parties. So any person, only there are 5 conditions that I have highlighted in previous slides. If they are involved in these scenarios, then attachment will happen on any persons. Yes, the cases where books of accounts or the advisors or professionals are involved, so that they should take cautious on this if they are in relations to the contravention of issuing of fake invoices, any ITC, supply of ITC without supply of services. So these are the conditions where this will apply. And related to how much amount this attachment will happen, it is up to the section under which the attachment is happening.
You mean to say that person has to get some benefit from that transaction? Then only
yes,
he
of
will
course,
be.
of course. I'm just highlighting that provision once again. Give me 1 minute, sir.
You just see in case of this fake invoices nowadays, so many chartered accountants are being arrested. So
yes. So if he is involved, see, you can say,
Goel sir, what is being said is that if that particular consultant is involved in that conspiracy as far as the fake invoices are concerned, then he will or he can fall in this definition of any person.
So he must have get some benefit from that transaction. Suppose somebody has arranged some bills and he has not got any benefit from that transaction. Will it be covered under that?
Sir, to the best of my understanding and knowledge, receipt of any benefit or in the hope of any benefit is not relevant as far as this is concerned, as long as it can be proved that that particular consultant was involved in that conspiracy, he would be covered in the definition of any person.
So Goyalji, it is clearly mentioned that is officer can provisionally attach any property including bank account belonging to the taxable person or any person specified in section 122 subsection 1. So these are the 5 parameters. If he is involved in this, then there is case of trigger.
Okay.
Sir, just in case, if let's say if any consultant on a friendly basis for some of his client might be doing this or would want to do this, he would get squarely covered in this definition of any person.
Okay.
So Goyalji, we all know in recent past, right? We should not take the name of this, there are many professionals, right? Their offices has been raided and they have kept into the, various jails or any legal proceedings are happening. So how we just correlate, because see, the professionals, they have involved how to do the fake of invoices, how to process the transactions. Maybe their associates or any of the family members have one of the party to the recipient or supplier of the services. They may create another, I can say, a fake companies, right, to transact this business. So it is up to the person or the situation where this provision will apply. It will not apply for all the professionals. Those are supporting the clients or giving any advices. It's related to the specific cases.
Specific, absolutely. Thank you, Ashwini.
Right. So another important provision is change of rate. We should have to, take a note here. In construction services, earlier the lower rate is applicable to all local authority, union territory, government authorities. Now they have segregated the local authority with the government authorities or government entities. So the lower rate will be applicable to the local authority, union territory, or government. So there is difference between government and government authority. I like to highlight in the next slide. So what says in local authority as per section 2 subsection 9. So you all know local authority related to panchayat, municipalities, district council, any development board, PWD, MCD. So these are the local authorities. So they may enjoy with the lower taxes. Government means central government or state government. Government authority means if any government has hold 90% or more participations by way of control or shareholding. So I have discussed all the major changes. So in case of any doubts of any participants, we can discuss. Otherwise, I'll go for some of the case laws relevant for these discussions.
Ashwini ji, there is one more query regarding this supply of restaurant services. In case of small restaurant, just like this cloud kitchens, who are dealing through this ECO only. So when they whether they are still required to get themselves registered under GST, if they are doing 100% through e-commerce operator, they are still required to get themselves registered or not?
See, they have to take registration because they have to show the particular transaction under which the ECO has to report. The table has been defined, right? So in this case, otherwise, if they will not register, the ECO, the ECO will report under the section of the table that has been defined in GST Act 3B. It will mismatch on the part of the restaurant. So it is required to, because a restaurant, other than restaurant services, there are many services where such GST may imply. So it is required to take registration both for the ECO and both for the.
I'm saying that when this small restaurant, cloud kitchen type restaurant, they are having turnover of less than 20 lakhs. Still they require registration.
So why I'm saying so, the provision I'm just highlighting here, Goelji, regarding registration, they have here one is they have make it mandatory for the ECOs to take registration. That is, we all know, right? Your part is related to the restaurant. So I'm just highlighting where they have to report this. Just one table they have mentioned, and this table both have to report on the transaction of this So here they are saying that the registered person supplying restaurant services through ECO under section 9 subsection 5 will have to report the table 8 of GSTR 1 and table 3.1C of GSTR 2B, right? So in this case, the restaurant, because once, first of all, whether they have to take registration, yes, it may be voluntarily on their part, but if they are supplying through the ECO, as per my views, they have to take registration because they don't have to pay any GST, right? So only they have to report the certain transactions in table 3.1 or table 8 of GSTR 1.
Ashwini ji, here जो यहाँ पर mention कर रहा है registered person
that's
supplying restaurant.
So
here
I'm
he is saying that registered persons.
Yes, Goelji, I'm saying it is voluntarily for the restaurants for registration, but it will be easier because there is no compliance burden on that part. They have to, because there are many transactions where the ECOs may not be involved. So they may take credit on that part. So they have to, analyze whether by taking registration, it will be beneficial for them or not. That's I'd like to highlight here.
Okay.
So and let's move for the some of the judicial case laws. So it is in the case of Meritus Hotel Private Limited. Here I would like to highlight what happens here. They have filed a delayed return in February. Okay. So if they have filed returns in February, returns they have delayed, notice issued on March 26th, and then department issued the complete assessment order levying all the penalty and taxes or interest. But the order has been uploaded in the latter stage. And once the assessee, because the assessee is not aware about the notices, so the assessee, once he just filed GSTR 3B, he got to know that there is a notices, and against that notices, the bank attachment has been, they have attached the bank account. So what the Honorable High Court said, so here the Honorable High Court said, they are saying, although this is, notices has been issued to the GM and it is uploaded on the GST portal, but the appeal date should be counted from the date of handing over the notices to the GM. So what the receipt of mode of notices we have discussed in the earlier slide. So here exactly that happens. So they are saying the right of appeal is a natural, although it is a natural or inherent right, but has to be regulated in accordance with the laws in force. So the date will be calculated from the date of handing over the notices, right? So we all have to ensure the mode of receipt of notices. We have to check in our common portal. We have to check whether notices has been informed to any authorized representative or it has been delivered to our residents. So this is the summary of the case. Another is related to LGW Industries. This is also related to that related to ITC. They have claimed against a supplier which is completely in fake, and that the other side of the supplier is non-existing. So here there is a very favorable order. The court says, the High Court of Kolkata court says the benefit. The Kolkata High Court says the entitlement of benefit is to be allowed to the assessee on the genuineness of the transactions. So the Honorable High Court passed the order in favor of the assessee, and they have informed that the case has to be taken as a phrase, and if it is found upon considering the relevant document that all the purchases and transactions are genuine and supported by valid documents, then the registration cannot be cancelled. So this is a very favorable judgment. We have to take a note, although there are some negative judgments are there, but and then another cases in case of a Signeta India, where this is related to GST on notice period, right? Recovery of notice period, and also GST on recovery of group insurance, parental group insurance. So whether it will be applicable or not. So in this case, the Honorable High Court says the GST will not be applicable on notice repair recoveries because it is not a supply. Another, against the recovery of parental health insurance from the employee also not to be treated as a supply. So these are the why I have highlighted these notices, the judgments, because these most of the notices nowadays authorities are sending, charging GST on notice pay and charging GST on recovery of insurance and other transport charges from the employee under taxable ambit. So another advance ruling cases I would like to highlight here.
Ashwini, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, yes.
So ये अभी जो High Court का decision which you have shared on notice recovery, so there is no need to pay GST on that in case of notice of recovery from the employee.
Right.
So what should we do? Should we we should start paying GST or not?
Yes. So my suggestion will be we don't have to pay this notice pay recovery, but if amount is substantial and if we are agree to contest before the Honorable High Court or upper stage, because the departmental authority, the commissioner level, they may levy tax on that, but in upper stage definitely will get relief, because there are many High Court or judgments on this.
No, that's okay. For practical point of view, if we are not paying GST on this amount, then definitely it will be in a litigation.
Of course,
we have to face.
Yes. So there are two ways, Goelji. Either we have to conservative basis, we have to pay GST, right? And the amount, if the amount is very substantial, maybe 50 lakhs, 1 crore, so we have to think to contest against this.
Okay.
Because again, it is against the a natural justice or against any constitutional rights.
Well, sir, also this particular ruling is only of the AAR.
Yeah.
And AAR, as you know, is only applicable to
that person only.
Correct. So while it has persuasive value, different AARs are well within their right to take a different decision.
Absolutely, because it is not applicable to all.
Yes,
to that.
But logically, there should not be any GST on notice pay recovery. But yes, logic and taxes do not go together. So as was said, one will have to take a conscious call whether you want to litigate or no. Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, Ashwini, actually the department persons are saying that Schedule 2 clause E specifically says agreeing to the obligation to refrain from an act or to tolerate an act. So they are saying that it is tolerate an act that the person has not given has not served the notice period.
See, Goelji, Schedule 2 says, and again the another schedule says the employer-employee relationship is not under GST ambit, right? And in some cases, if you can see on the highlighted portion, the Madras High Court and some high courts, other high courts has given favorable judgment. So Schedule 2, there are, although it is saying any actionable or similar issues GST is applicable, but it is not clearly, it is our interpretation. Notice pay recovery may be under.
Ashwini, you are right, but the question is here that when the person has given resignation, from the date of resignation, if it is accepted by the employer, the employer relation ends on that date. So that is the question, na?
नहीं sir, देखिए ऐसा है. Even the clause of notice pay recovery forms a part of his employment letter. Okay. So what is being recovered is under that contract of employment only. That is the point which is relevant, and it is on that basis only that these high courts have held that there is no GST. Because even under income tax, there is this dispute, and one of the tribunal has held that the amount which is let's say recovered or is paid, can that be treated as income, or is there a deduction that can be allowed to the employee who is paying this? So they have very carefully gone through all the relevant aspects under the income tax law and held that whatever notice pay recovery is done, it's under that one contract. So there is no separate contract.
So Goelji, it clearly says the contractual agreement or appointment letter, right? So there is only, we have to establish the relationship between the employer and the employee. So it is up to us how we have to pay conservative basis, doesn't take the responsibility to litigate, or definitely, as per my views, there are many courts have taken the favorable stand. So we'll get relief in until unless the apex court decide, then it will applicable for all of us.
But just to avoid the litigation,
Yes,
we are paying GST.
Yes.
Because reason we are not getting credit for that because it is paid under forward charge only. That
you
is
will
also
not get any credit. Yes, you will not
that
get
is
any
also
credit.
that is also drawback.
And we have to see the litigation cost and time also.
Absolutely.
We have to pay the pre-deposit also, right? So these are the situations. If you want to avoid, then it is okay to pay, right?
Thank you.
So another ARA, it is similarly related to the transport facility recovery from the employees. So it says that whether recovery, because transport or cab services, it will be treated as a GST, and if it is yes, then what will be the valuation? So what the ARA says, see, the transport facility is not an activity which is incidental or ancillary to the main activity, because the applicant is not a transporter or not a service of rental of vehicles. So they according to them, so it is not to be treated as a supply, and GST is not applicable on such transactions, because many companies, they are providing transport facilities and recovering such transport from the employees. So that will be also GST is not applicable. So they have highlighted the decision of Tata Motors and other instances where the favorable orders are there. So another case is tropical beverages. This is related to the filing of appeals. So what happened? The assessee received a notice from a central jurisdiction, but he is wrongly uploaded, from state jurisdiction, he received the notices, orders, but he wrongly uploaded in central jurisdiction. So the assessee, the department denied, and they have not accepted the appeal that they have he uploaded in different portal. The judgment says the petitioner has to be take that relief, and he should file a fresh appeal and upload before the appropriate authority. So although he filed a wrong forum, but delay shall be condoned. So I'm saying these are all in High Court stays. Well, this will not happen in the commissioner or in the lower stays. Only the relief we can get, any natural infringement of natural justice, or any relief related to harassment or similar issues, we can get relief from the High Court or Supreme Court stays. There is no GST Act right now, so we'll have to take mercy of this. So these are, I would like to highlight in case of any question or still we can discuss. Yes. So LG. Yes, sir.
Let's open.
Participants, any questions from anyone? I think the session was very informative.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Broadly, the things have been clarified.
Thank you so much, sir.
I believe maybe we will take a little more time to go through it again, the presentation,
yeah,
and come back with further questions.
Sandeep, because most of us do not look at GST in this
Correct.
much of detail, and therefore you are absolutely right. It will take us some time to absorb all these changes.
Because this is more or less first time we are absorbing this information.
Correct.
So we will be coming out with questions, but in a little time.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct, Sandeep.
Sachin, from a tax point of view, I mean, when I was listening, and I was a bit scared when Goyalji and you were discussing with Ashwini about attachment of properties of the consultants, obviously the ones who have participated or connived with the taxpayer to that understanding. Is there something like that in our Income Tax Act? I don't think so. I mean, there was something about abatement, but was it to the extent of attachment? I mean, do we have something in the, I don't think we have that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yes, Sandeep.
I just want to request any of the participants have any queries. Otherwise, I would like to go back to that retrospective amendment है अश्विनी जी क्लब वाली वो बहुत डरा रही है अब
सर हमें भी डरा रही है बिल्डर बोल रही है मैं भी नोटिसेस दे दूंगा पे करने के लिए
मतलब बहुत सारे क्लब्स और एसोसिएशन हम जानते हैं जिन्होंने रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं ली थी म्यूचुअलिटी कंसेप्ट के चक्कर में
राइट सर
तो अब
सर
कलेक्शन फ्रॉम मेंबर्स हैं
सर वो बहुत बड़ी अगर वो नोटिसेस आना शुरू हो जाएगा इट विल बी ह्यूज लायबिलिटी एंड ऑफ कोर्स द एंड कंज्यूमर और द रेजिडेंट हैज टू पे बट यस I don't think it will get relief from the
but do you feel के ऊपर जाके रिलीफ मिलेगा मतलब
yes सर यहाँ कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला है सर यहाँ कुछ नहीं मिलने
नहीं पर ऊपर मिल जाएगा 2022 में आप रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव कर रहे हो
सर 100% मिलेगा संदीप जी 100% मिलेगा बिकॉज आप देखिए जितनी भी रिलीफ मिल रही है
हाँ जी
चाहे अटैचमेंट हो चाहे हरासमेंट हो और आईटीसी क्रेडिट की बेनिफिट्स हो यहाँ कोई रिलीफ नहीं मिल रही है सर चाहे रिफंड इश्यूज क्यों ना हो
अश्विनी जी
यस
एक इशू जो रेजिडेंट वेलफेयर एसोसिएशन का था जो 7,500 से ऊपर सब्सक्रिप्शन है मंथली सब्सक्रिप्शन है उस पे वेदर जीएसटी हैज टू बी चार्ज ऑन द एंटायर अमाउंट और आफ्टर रिड्यूसिंग दैट 7,500 एक क्वेश्चन हो रहा था इस पे
सर ये हमने ये डिस्कस किया था सो क्या है सर अभी इन्होंने दे हैव अमेंडेड द लॉ रेट्रोस्पेक्टिवली फ्रॉम 1 जुलाई ठीक है तो इसमें दो कंडीशन है आइदर मेरा जो मंथली सब्सक्रिप्शन है मैं अपनी दे रहा हूं 7,500 से अगर एक्सीड हो रहा है राइट सो आई हैव टू पे जीएसटी पॉइंट नंबर 2 अगर इनकम 20 लाख से एबव है एक एसोसिएशन की सो दे हैव टू टेक जीएसटी रजिस्ट्रेशन ठीक है सो नाउ द पॉइंट कम्स इनटू पिक्चर अगर 20 क्योंकि जनरली एक एसोसिएशन ऑफ पर्सन की इनकम 20 लाख से क्रॉस होती है मतलब वी ऑल शुड एग्री 20 लाख साल की जो इनकम है वो क्रॉस हो जाती है 1,60,000 1.5 लाख जो भी है मंथली
एब्सोल्युटली हो जाती है
जब हो जाती है तो एसोसिएशन को रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना पड़ेगा ठीक है अब एसोसिएशन अगर रजिस्ट्रेशन ले लेता है बट सारी मेंबर्स की जो मंथली सब्सक्रिप्शन है अगर 7,500 से बिलो है राइट देयर इज नो मतलब यू कैन टेक स्टैंड देयर इज नो नीड फॉर जीएसटी डिपार्टमेंट yes they are issuing notices right now you have to pay GST from all these your subscribers or residents but yes if there are partially the it is more than 3 BHK 4 BHK and some are 1 BHK or 2 BHK it means the monthly maintenance is below 7,500 and some resident above 7,500 it is up to the call we have to pay conservative I would not say from 1st July, but I would say for the association of person to pay conservatively on both sides, or to make a proper books of accounts to justify before the authority. See, these are the members for which GST is not applicable. Sorry, and these are the members for which GST is applicable.
अश्विनी जी मेरा थोड़ा सा इशू
गोयल सर का पॉइंट ये था that if let's say
8,000
you are charging 8,000, okay,
so I have to charge on 500 or the entire 8,000
in excess of 7,500 that is decided everywhere. That
so I have to charge on 500 only, na?
Yes.
हाँ, वही सब लोगों का डाउट क्लियर करना चाह रहा था
सर. आई थिंक इस पे शायद कोई क्लैरिफिकेशन निकाला है डिपार्टमेंट ने.
IT सर, excess of 7,500 you have to.
हाँ, वही डाउट लोगों का मैं क्लियर करना चाहता था.
सर आई एम सॉरी बट आई बैक टू डिसएग्री. मेरे ख्याल से जो मेरे को याद है पूरे 8,000 पे करना पड़ेगा.
नहीं
सर, उसके बाद एक
क्लैरिफिकेशन आई थी. You have to charge on 500 only.
Does it say charge or does it say for the people who are in excess of 7,500? So is the line very clear?
In excess of. Yes. Sir, that clarification has been received.
No, in excess means a person you're charging 8,000 is in excess of 7,500, right? So you cross the threshold of 7,500.
Right.
The question that Sandeep is sort of asking, which I am also wanting to understand, is that when you exceed the threshold limit of 7,500, your tax liability is triggered off. So if you have 7,600, you have to pay on 7,600 itself.
No.
Or does
No. Only 100.
Difference figures.
Is it a very black and white clarification?
Sir, I would request Ashwini ji के अगर ये clarification कहीं आपके पास है.
I'll share, sir.
So please do.
So that is the only reason I have raised this issue, because
definitely sir, this is very important क्योंकि frankly we are not following this because I had read somewhere कि पूरे पे करना है.
नहीं सर, वो आया था पहले पूरे पे, फिर देन बहुत सारी डिस्कशंस बढ़ा. आप बिल्कुल सही बोल रहे हैं, बहुत सारी झगड़ा हुआ.
टेंटेटिवली कब आया सर ये कि सिर्फ एक्सेस पे करना है?
सर अभी
ये 2 साल से ऊपर हो गए.
अभी मैं आपको शेयर कर दूंगा द एग्जैक्ट डेट.
ठीक है.
I'll share to you sir.
मैं
संदीप जी मैं लेके ना आपको भेज दूंगा. आप फिर सारे मेंबर्स को भेज दीजिए.
मैं सबको सर भेज दूंगा. सर एक और इसमें इशू आता है. आई वाज डीलिंग विद RWA. वहां पे वो कहते हैं कि रिकवरी वो इस तरह से करते हैं कि जिनसे जीएसटी चार्ज हो रहा है तो उनसे तो जीएसटी चार्ज हो गया, जिनसे नहीं हो रहा वो टोटल कॉस्ट डिवाइड करके इंक्लूडिंग जीएसटी उनसे रिकवर कर लेते हैं एक्स्ट्रा करके. अब इशू यही आता है कि जब हम प्रो रेटा आईटीसी क्रेडिट लेने जाते हैं तो डिसअलाउंस थोड़ी सी ज्यादा हो जाती है. इसका कोई इलाज है? क्योंकि वो रहता एग्जेम्प्टेड है, चाहे उनसे एक्स्ट्रा भी ले लिए हो हमने पैसे, तो आईटीसी कुछ ना कुछ डिसअलाउ हो जाता है. उसमें वो फिर पार्टी हमसे लड़ती है कि भाई हमने तो ठीक कैलकुलेशन करी है, तुम गलत कैलकुलेशन कर रहे हो.
सर देखिए, इसका इलाज जो है ना, वी हैव टू मेंटेन एग्जेम्प्ट सप्लाई सेपरेटली. किसकी आईटीसी एग्जेम्प्ट रिलेटेड है और किसकी टैक्सेबल है. अगर कॉमन है तब तो कॉमन के फॉर्मूला है. ठीक है सर.
हाँ सर, वही कॉमन के फॉर्मूले में वो कह रहे हैं कि जितना रिकवर नहीं होना था वो परसेंटेज लगा के कि सपोजिंग 84% पे चार्ज हो रहा है, 16% पे नहीं हो रहा.
हाँ.
तो वो 16% आईटीसी ऐड करके जिनसे रिकवर नहीं होना उनसे ले लेते हैं. पर जब वो हम कैलकुलेशन करते हैं तो
ज्यादा आती है,
टोटल में वो डिसअलाउंस ज्यादा हो जाती है.
बिल्कुल सर. सर कुछ नहीं कर सकते सर, वो
कुछ नहीं कर सकते.
वो पेन है, अभी भी है सर, वो पेन अभी भी है.
ठीक है.
It still lies.
तो चलो एक इशू तो ये हो गया और एक ये 2A 2B की कहानी तो रहेगी
सर. वो तो है ही सर, वो तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते सर.
और सर एक बहुत जो अगेन आई डोंट थिंक वी कैन चेंज द लॉ, बट कोई पुराने साल का है जिसने पेमेंट भी कर दी हो पर रिटर्न फाइल नहीं करी थी, इसलिए रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं हुआ, तो उसका क्रेडिट आज मुझे भी नहीं मिलता. मैं दूसरी पार्टी 18% इंटरेस्ट के साथ पे करती है और मैं 24% इंटरेस्ट के साथ उसको पे करता हूँ
सर.
हालांकि मैं पार्टी को ऑलरेडी जीएसटी दे चुका हूँ.
राइट सर.
तो इसका कोई इलाज आपके दिमाग में है?
सर इसका इलाज देखिए, आपने इफ यू हैव नॉट कंसीडर्ड इन योर रिटर्न्स, I would request to consider in your GSTR 9. अगर वो भी फाइल कर चुके हैं, राइट, तो आपके पास अब वॉलंटरली आप DRC 03 से पे करके रख लीजिए, एंड द इंटरेस्ट पार्ट यू कैन लिटिगेट इन लेटर स्टेज। बहुत जगह पे आप इंटरेस्ट 18% पे कर दीजिए, राइट, एंड आपको 6% तो बच जाएगा। And some of the assessee clients, they are not paying interest as all. वो बोल रहे हैं हमने तो voluntary declare किया, but I am not in favor of that. At least 18% पे करके थोड़ा सा you can sleep peacefully. That's my suggestion.
Have been given by AO for adding the set amount to the net profit. Made the provision for gratuity on the basis of actual calculation.
Ani ji mute कर लीजिए।
Ani ji के सारे client की बात पता चलेगी हमको।
Is not an certain liability.
सचिन आप जरा सानी जी को नोट कर दीजिए।
हाँ जी,
Actual calculation.
ग्रेचुटी का प्रोविजन है।
Then you need not.
done,
सॉरी,
done.
तो इस तरह के इश्यूज हैं जो कि लगता है कि एसएससी के अगेंस्ट हैं, बट देयर अपैरेंटली इज नो वे आउट कि यू हैव ऑलरेडी पेड एज पर द लॉ टू द सप्लायर and still you are forced to pay it again and pay interest also.
That credit also not available.
Sandeep, this is just a corresponding provision which is there in our income tax like form that 26AS.
Sir, 26AS ना एक्चुअली लॉ नहीं है, यहाँ पे लॉ आ गया है।
देखो
वहां पे आप अगर शो कर दो तो फिर भी आप थोड़ा सा लड़ सकते हो, यहाँ तो लड़ने का भी स्कोप खत्म कर दिया उन्होंने।
संदीप जी, आई वुड लाइक टू ऐड वन थिंग। हमारी क्लाइंट को नोटिस आया, आपकी 26AS में ₹1,00,000 है, आपकी जीएसटी रिटर्न में 50,000 है, आप 50,000 पे डिमांड दो। मैं खुद अप्रोच हुआ था कमिश्नर पे, सचिन जी नोट्स, तो वो फरीदाबाद कमिश्नर को मैंने समझाया 26AS की जो इनकम है जीएसटी की इनकम में क्या डिफरेंस है। तो I can't pay income on the basis of 26AS. ऐसे भी नोटिस आया आपकी 3CD में, आपने दिखा दिया सर्विसेज में आपने टैक्स दो, and the supplier is trader, उसकी कंसल्टेंट ने गलती से सर्विसेज टेबल में दिखा दिया। तो these are happening and this will continue. So that's why we are here.
Right, sir. Any other queries, anyone? आई थिंक फॉर द टाइमिंग, जैसे अश्विनी जी हमने कहा कि हम लोग थोड़ा सा लैग बिहाइंड करते हैं जीएसटी में, तो जो सेशन होता है वही हमारा समझ लीजिए ट्यूटोरियल शुरू होता है।
नहीं सर, I'm privileged that I am the part of this discussion, sir. I would thanks to Sachin ji, Bidur ji, that they include me for the.
It has been a very informative session. So a lot of new things have cropped up, जो कि अभी तक हमें क्लैरिटी नहीं थी। तो एक तो ये प्रेजेंटेशन हम मेंबर से शेयर कर देते हैं, और बाकी वी मे बी कमिंग बैक टू यू विद फर्दर